Adekunle was a village boy from a small town called Igbo. His life was simple. His father, a humble farmer, had passed away when Adekunle was just 12 years old, leaving his mother to raise him and his younger siblings. They had little money, but his father had left him a small plot of land, a treasure for the family's future. Although Adekunle only attended elementary school, he learned carpentry from an older villager who noticed his skillful hands. The boy quickly became known for his craftsmanship, building tables, chairs, and repairing roofs for the villagers. Though he struggled financially, he was hopeful for a better future. Shola, the love of his life. During his time in school, Adekunle met Shola. She was beautiful, with bright eyes and a smile that made Adekunle's heart race. They became inseparable as children, and their friendship grew into a romance that everyone in the village admired. But as Shola grew older, her dreams stretched far beyond the village. She wanted to become a doctor and help people. Her family, however, couldn't afford to send her to school beyond elementary. Selling his inheritance for love. In a selfless act of love, Adekunle made a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He sold the plot of land his late father had left him, the only valuable thing he owned, and used the money to sponsor Shola's education. He was filled with joy as he watched her move from elementary school to high school, and then to university. Despite not having much for himself, he always sent her money, worked long hours, and dreamed of the day when Shola would become a doctor and they would build a life together. The tragedy of a mother's illness. While Adekunle was working hard to support Shola, his mother, who had always been his strength, fell ill. It was her kidneys. The village doctor warned that she would need treatment soon or she wouldn't survive much longer. The pain of watching his mother suffer weighed heavily on Adekunle's heart, but he had no money left to pay for her treatment. Shola's diagnosis. As if fate was testing his limits, Adekunle received a message from Shola. She had been diagnosed with the same kidney disease as his mother. Adekunle was torn between saving the woman he loved and helping his mother. Both needed a kidney transplant, but Adekunle could only give one kidney. Choosing love over blood. The decision was heart-wrenching. His mother, who had raised him alone after his father's death, pleaded with him not to sacrifice his life for love. But Adekunle couldn't bear the thought of losing Shola. He chose to give his kidney to Shola, leaving his mother to die. With his heart full of guilt and sorrow, he watched his mother take her last breath, knowing he had sacrificed her life for the woman he loved. Shola becomes a doctor. Shola recovered from the surgery and graduated as a doctor. Adekunle was filled with pride. He had lost his mother, but he believed that the sacrifice was worth it. He looked forward to the future, imagining the two of them starting a family together, living a peaceful life now that she was a medical professional. The return of Shola. After a year in medical school, Shola returned to the village, but not alone. Adekunle's heart shattered when he saw her step out of a fancy car with a tall, well-dressed man. She introduced the man as her fiancé, who was also a doctor, and to Adekunle's horror, Shola was already pregnant with his child. Betrayal and heartbreak. Adekunle couldn't believe his ears. The woman he had sacrificed everything for, the land, his money, his kidney, had betrayed him. He felt as if the world had collapsed around him. All his love, all his efforts had been in vain. Shola barely looked at him, as if their past meant nothing. They attempted suicide. Devastated, Adekunle fell into a deep depression. One night, unable to handle the pain, he tied a rope to the rafters of his carpentry shop. He planned to end his life, believing he had nothing left to live for. But as he stood on the stool, tears streaming down his face, a voice in his heart told him not to give the curse of a broken heart. In a fit of rage and sorrow, Adekunle cursed Shola. He swore that she would never be able to give birth to the child she carried. He added that her new man's manhood was so big, it would only bring her pain, not joy. He cursed her future, praying that the betrayer would come back to haunt her. Shola's unhappy ending. Months passed, and true to Adekunle's curse, Shola struggled with her pregnancy. She could not give birth, and the pain was unbearable. She visited countless doctors, but none could explain why she could not carry the child to term. Her fiancé, the man who had stolen her away, began to distance himself. The love they had shared quickly turned into misery. The pain of moving on. Meanwhile, Adekunle tried to rebuild his life. The betrayer had scarred him deeply, but he refused to give up. He continued his carpentry work, though the joy he once found in it was gone. Every piece of wood he touched reminded him of what he had lost. Shola's fiancé leaves her. As Shola's health deteriorated and the pregnancy complications worsened, her fiancé, frustrated by the constant struggles, left her. Alone and heartbroken, Shola returned to the village, a shadow of the woman she had once been. Her beauty had faded, and the glow she once had was gone. Adekunle's new life. Despite the pain he had endured, Adekunle eventually found peace. He met another woman, a quiet, kind-hearted soul who helped him heal. She did not have Shola's beauty or charm, but she brought him a sense of calm he had never known. Shola's suffering. As the years went by, Shola continued to suffer. She never found happiness with another man, and her medical career, once full of promise, was overshadowed by the guilt and sorrow she carried. The curse Adekunle had placed on her weighed heavily on her soul, and she regretted every decision that had led her to that point. A final meeting. One day, Shola, broken and defeated, visited Adekunle. She begged for his forgiveness, weeping at his feet. Adekunle, now a man who had found peace, looked at her with pity. He told her that he had moved on, that the past was behind him, but the pain she had caused him would never fully leave. The consequences of betrayal. Shola's life continued to spiral downward. The betrayer that had once seemed like a path to a better life had left her with nothing. She was childless, alone, and haunted by the choices she had made. Her story became a lesson in the village, a warning to others about the dangers of selfishness and betrayal. Adekunle's new family. Adekunle eventually remarried and had children of his own. Though the scars of his past never fully healed, he found happiness in his new family. His children brought him joy, and he became a respected figure in the village, known not just for his carpentry skills but for his resilience and strength. The lesson of love and betrayal. Shola's story serves as a painful reminder that love, when taken for granted, can lead to destruction. Her betrayal of Adekunle cost her everything, while Adekunle, despite his suffering, found peace and happiness. The lesson was clear: true love requires sacrifice, loyalty, and honesty. Betrayal only leads to pain, regret, and a life of unfulfilled dreams.